Hi, everyone. It is Marilyn and Laurie, and welcome to Who Can It Be Now? I have a really special guest today. I know I say that every time I talk to someone, but I feel that way. I really invite people on that I want to talk to and that I like, and I don't really invite. I as much as I know I'm a really good interviewer, I don't love interviewing all the time. So I always make sure that I'm interviewing people that I absolutely love. So
Mm.
today's guest is Mary Ann Marriott, and we're going to be talking to her and learning all about how she's developing a business, growing her business. She is your spiritual hostess, which I love that branding, your spiritual hostess. She's a psychic medium, and she's been with me. I'm not really sure how many years she'll tell us, but she is truly a gift. She's a psychic medium. She does readings. She does coaching. She has a membership program. And I got to meet her last year. I'm recording this on Tuesday, May 14th, 2024. It's actually 12:22 p.m. We'll talk about that maybe. And I got to meet her last October at my retreat. And she is just full of life, energy, really loving, really good person, a lot of fun, and is also extremely gifted. So Mary Ann, welcome to Who Can It Be Now?
Aw, thank you so much, Marilyn. I'm getting truth vibes. All
Truth
of that.
vibes.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I
Yeah,
like.
that's what I call them.
So, Marianne, just because I love just exploring and learning about people as I'm talking to them, tell me a little bit about your spiritual journey, how you got to where you are today, like where it started, and just what you want to tell me right now.
Yeah. And I guess maybe like a lot of people, I pieced it together over time, but I always kind of start in the middle, really, but that's when I first realized that the journey was taking a turn, a life of its own. And a friend gifted me a deck of angel cards. And, I'd always kind of played with that sort of stuff, but I started using the cards and I was doing readings for friends and family, like, we do when we're starting out. And everybody was saying, "Oh my gosh, like that's so accurate and so bang on." And I just thought, well, I know them. That's why, it's so accurate. And then a friend invited me to do readings for a group of people I didn't know. So I was terrified and I went anyway and did the readings. And then everybody said, "Oh my gosh, that's so accurate." And so it was in that moment that, I realized it wasn't just me telling people something that I already knew about them. And then if I kind of jump back, like probably 20 years before that, I was always the person people came to for advice. So I was like the counselor in my friend group. And what I realized when I kind of started putting the pieces together is that I wasn't giving people advice from me, that it was coming from somewhere else. And my whole career, I ended up doing counseling stuff. So, I would say probably about 10 years ago, I had that, aha moment where I just could see everything in my life and how it led to this moment of of helping people on this deeper level with this wisdom that was coming from somewhere outside of me, yet inside of me.
Right. I love that. I have so many questions about that, but before we go into that, I want you to give a snapshot of what it is you do today and how you help people so that they can start, like, we can all start putting it together about, oh,
Yeah.
this is where she is today. And then we're going to go back. So tell us a little bit about like what you do today for people and what you love to do today for people.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So I'm going to answer that first with a question. You know how women take care of everyone and everything else in their lives and they put themselves last?
Mhm.
Well, I help women who are in that situation find themselves again, reclaim their lives and start putting themselves first. And, that's a very succinct statement because part of this journey has been about creating a business and really focusing on who you want to help. Now, that doesn't mean I don't help other people in other situations, but ultimately, my membership program I created is called Shine Membership, and it's about rediscovering that light inside of you and shining it so brightly that you can't help but see how amazing you are. And that's really what I do. So, I do that with readings and I love doing readings, but I do one reading and someone walks away and it's interesting or entertaining, but there isn't necessarily a system for them to follow through and really change their life. And that's where everything in my business took me, is to that point where I can now offer additional support so they get that long lasting change. That's what I'm really passionate about, is not just giving someone a little bit of insight, but giving them really lasting change in terms of living the life that they dream of, the life that they're meant to live.
So I love that. How are some of the ways that you help people to have long-lasting change? And I know everybody is different, so you may have that experience too, but How are some of the ways that you help them to rediscover their light and then have long-lasting change?
Yeah, so I think most of the time it starts with a reading. So someone will come to me for reading just to get some insight into some issue they're having in their life. I will tell you, it's fascinating to me because since I defined kind of my target market, it takes me to this core issue almost every time of how they put themselves last and how they don't shine their light and how they are afraid to be who they are in the world. And then once we get there in a reading and we talk about that, depending on where the person is in their journey, there's a couple ways that I can help them. And so one is my membership program where we get to hang out, on a regular basis. There's readings involved with that. There's monthly sessions that they can attend with the group, or me individual, just depending on the membership. And what that does is it keeps me in touch with them on a regular basis, supporting them as they go through this journey, either, being there on the sidelines to cheer them on or give them a little extra nudge, or taking their hand and kind of leading them more specifically towards a journey. So it is a mixture of all of that. And then in that membership, there's a very hands-on, accountable kind of weekly session where we get together. But all my sessions there's readings in the sessions. I mean, it's really about bringing that wisdom and guidance through that they're just not quite seeing, or if they see it, they don't know what to do with it. So I help them figure that part out.
Love it. Okay, so you a woman who didn't put yourself first? Is that why you're so passionate about women who don't put themselves first?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if you look at where I am in my life, I mean, my kids are now 20 and 22, but I did the typical thing that most women do is, you get married and then all of a sudden a piece of you is a wife, and then you have kids and a piece of you is a mother. And then this other piece of you that most of the time you haven't even really had a chance to discover who she is, just kind of gets put on the back burner. And then all of a sudden a marriage falls apart or the kids grow up or a career changes. And then there's this part of you that you want to get reacquainted with, you want to learn about, you want to let emerge. And that's really a big process for a lot of people because they have no idea who she is. And they need some help navigating through that.
Did you have a moment in your life where you had that moment where you looked and was like, wait, I've got to reacquaint myself. I've got to get to know. I know we have different moments, but was there like a
Yeah.
that set this trajectory off? Go ahead.
Sort of, but I think what I had is what most people have is a deep unhappiness with different things in their lives. So I struggled in my marriage. I struggled as a mom, feeling like I wasn't a really good mom because I was craving time alone. So, I had probably this 20-year process where I just wasn't really happy, but there was a part of me that was. I mean, that inner light is there, and we tap into it. But I struggled for a long time, and I'd love to say there was a moment where that really came into focus and changed. But I think it was more of a journey and probably took about, I'm going to say 5 to 10 years of kind of self-discovery to figure out what was going on and then to figure out where I wanted to be and then to attract the resources in, like you in this community and all of the places that I've been connecting with over the last few decades to really get a sense of who I really am and what I really want and what I want to be bringing to the world and bringing to myself.
I'm surprised to hear that because I know you have a very happy marriage.
I do now. Because the phrase that I would share is when I changed, we changed. And that was all part of the process. And we are in a completely different place now than we've ever been. It's fascinating to me. And it's all because of the work I did on myself.
I love that because Mary Ann just celebrated an anniversary, right? And your
Yes.
birthday.
Yeah. 27 years married and 33 together.
27 years married, 30, and every time you share pictures of him, and I know you so well, so I know it's not like fluff on the internet. I know you have a very solid marriage with this man. So that's
Yeah.
incredible. And it really goes to show that you're walking the talk.
Yeah.
A-
Absolutely.
And you're also a great parent because I only know about one of your children more than the other. So how has that helped you how has that helped you to learn about yourself, being the parent that you are? Talk a little bit about that.
Oh my goodness. So here come the truth vibes. Yeah. So probably referring to Finn, of course, who is transgender. I mean, that was a whole process to navigate through. And I know, I've been hanging out with you for a long time, and I know that I struggled greatly with my younger son in terms of getting him through school. That was quite a process. And, so I think where that really has come into my growth and development, and again, kind of walking the talk is, trusting, allowing them to be who they are, not beating myself up, staying out of guilt. And boy, let me tell you, I'm saying this, but it was not an easy process. There were a lot of tears. There was a lot of challenges within that. But I just kept being taken back to, trust and allow and love and just let them walk their path and do their journey. And same thing, like both of them are in a much better place today than they were. And we are, like, just our relationship and everything is as well.
Yeah, I know my video's going in and out, but don't worry
Yeah,
about
I
it.
know, I see that.
Yeah, Mary Ann and I had a lot of technical issues before we got on, so I wanted her not to worry about it. It'll be on YouTube and it'll just be in and out. I think it's our energy.
I
So
think
I
it
do want to
is.
talk more about this because you're talking about insecurity, you're talking about different things that a lot of people don't mention in this space. Like once they reach enlightenment, they don't struggle with these things. And but before I do
Mm.
that, I want to go back to your childhood. Were you raised in a spiritual household or a religious household? What was your life like being raised as a child?
Yeah, religious. So my parents were Catholic and, went to church regularly. We were expected to go to church. And just, good values in the household. I, went to church most of my young adult life until I stopped. And, even this is a piece of my journey because it just didn't resonate with me hearing the same messages all the time. I wanted to hear more. I wanted to learn more. I wanted to expand. So I think, even back then I was starting to pay attention to um, my thirst for knowledge around that whole subject. But overall, I had a happy childhood. We're a happy family. There's 8 kids. I'm the youngest, yeah, mom and dad. And we always invited people in and helped take care of them. My dad was a mechanic. If he fixed a car, they came and had, tea and cookies that mom made or bread. And so we're just this very welcoming household. And that was interesting to me because I always kind of felt like if you were struggling with something, then it had to relate to your childhood and that there had to be something really challenging within that. And I always felt like I never really had anything really challenging, just kind of your basic stuff that we go through, teenage rebellion, et cetera, et cetera. Now I should mention, I think they just gave this to me, is that my mom and her sisters, she had 5 sisters, were very into the psychic world, but not the same way that I am today or we are today, but they would do table lifting and they would do spirit writing and would tell me stories about one of my aunts had a spirit who lived with her for a long time. There was a man and he was there for, my goodness, I think it was 4 or 5 years. I don't know what they did to get rid of him. So I was exposed to that, but on not really, I wasn't really taught about it, but I was exposed to that world at a young age as well.
So when did you like come out to your family that this is who you are, or were you always out?
I don't think I was always out, and I think around that time that I got the cards that I was talking about, and I started doing readings for people because I started doing them for my family, and that was awkward and uncomfortable because again, it feels kind of like, you know them, and that's why you're saying what you say. But it was probably around that time that and I started the business and I started talking about what I was doing. So that would have been, again, probably about 10 years ago or so that I started to have those conversations. And I would say that my family mostly open to it. I'm sure I got some eye rolls and probably still do today. But I think because, certainly because my mom grew up that way, she was definitely open to it. And my sisters and yeah, just depending, there's a lot of my family. So it's a very varied response that I get from different members of my family.
How was your husband about it?
He thought I was woo-woo crazy. What are you talking about? It's all fake. What's interesting today is that we were hanging out with a friend recently, and he made some comment about rocks and energy and rocks, and her jaw dropped, and she just looked at him, and goes, "Wow, she really has had an effect on you, hasn't she?" So he kind of went from "You're nuts. What are you talking about?" to "Well, she seems to enjoy this, so I should just let it be and not really question it," to "Okay, I'm kind of seeing something here," and so acknowledging that once in a while. So also been interesting to see his shift as this has been progressing.
Do you think his shift is a mirror to your own belief in yourself or not? Like as you
Ooh, great question.
yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I would have to say yes, definitely, because I've not wavered in that. And even though he didn't believe it or may have given me grief, I didn't engage, and I would just ignore it and continue to do what I was doing. And as he viewed me doing what I was doing, and he hears people talk about the readings and how I've helped them. And so I think he's as he's been viewing it and watching it and experience it, it's been changing his outlook on, not just what I'm doing, but the whole spiritual realm.
Yeah, because especially when I had a membership program, we had so many people come to us where their husbands had a really difficult time. We saw it more with women. Sometimes it was men too, wives, but it always was a reflection to me of the work that you needed to do with yourself in
Mhm.
ownership of it. And since you like always just stayed in it, then
Yes.
when you start owning it more and more and more and more, they start coming around, which is great. And it's great that you didn't let his experience of it affect how you were going to grow into it, which is really good.
Yeah, I would agree with that completely. I've never actually looked at it from that viewpoint. This is why I like hanging out with you so much. Only
So,
one of the reasons.
yeah, thank you. One of the questions I have is, and now it makes total sense, the spiritual hostess, because you come from and Mary Ann's like this, like Mary Ann's very outgoing. We were at the retreat. She was talking with everyone, and it's not like an annoying type of talking, some people can be. She's just very engaging and very communicative. And she's also running retreats herself now. And if you go to her website, maryannmarriott.com, and I'm going to spell that real quick just in case you want to jump on over there, even though it'll be in the show notes. It's Maryann, Marriott, Marriott.com, maryannmarriott.com. And this is coming out right before her retreat. So you can jump right in, which is June 21st to the 23rd, if you're listening to this in real time. But even so, I would definitely get on her list because I watched her at this retreat that I was doing, and I feel like this is going to be like, this is one of your sweet spots, is going to be
Mm.
teaching people live. Besides the fact your membership, we recommended Mary Ann's membership, Shine membership. When my membership for your soul closed, she was the person we recommended. She's the person we recommend for readings. There's a lot that we recommend Mary Ann for. So definitely check out her website. But I'm excited for you. And now I understand the spiritual hostess because you have such a
Yes.
big family.
Yes.
Mom's
And I
inviting
am.
people in with coffee and cookies. Like my mother was like, "Don't leave us alone. Go ahead."
Yeah, absolutely. And I think where that came up for me is, I am just hosting, right? Someone comes to me, I'm just hosting them with whatever their spirits, their guides, their wisdom, whatever they need. And that's kind of how I view myself. And very excited about the retreat. First in-person thing I've been doing in my business since I really started it. It started growing and taking off, which was pre-COVID. And then of course the reason I'm doing the retreat is because at your retreat I had several people tell me, "When are you doing a retreat?" And so we trust that if we're told, more than once about something, there's a reason. And so that was my homework when I left there, and I just dove in I'm pretty excited about doing this in a month and a bit.
Yeah, I remember you committing to it. There was an exercise we did. I don't know if
Yes.
it was the higher self or something, and you were like, "That's what I'm committed to," and you had to commit to something.
Yep, you had to write it down, you had to put it in close to your heart on a piece of paper, and then you had to put the next first step, and you had to take it before we left.
Oh, I love it. Good. Okay, so I'm going to go back to to your family life and raising your children and your husband. And I want to ask a question because you broached on a subject that I think is really important. At least I'm experiencing it now, which is when we grow and expand and
Mhm.
change and shift and grow our spiritual gifts, at least for me personally, there's been insecurity, not about my gifts, but about life lately that's been coming up to the surface. This is my own personal stuff. I'm not talking about you.
Yeah.
So unless you relate to it, my question to you is when you were going through things with like raising your sons, and it's two sons, right?
Two
'Cause I know
sons. Yeah.
one's transgender. Okay, two sons.
Yeah.
Raising your sons, and there's all these things coming to the surface. Did you experience insecurity, which you said you did a bit, and did you go to any kind of tools in order to help you get through that insecurity?
Yes. So yes, I definitely did. I mean, trying to get my younger sons through school, I mean, there were moments of, just crying and yelling, and which doesn't feel good anyway. But when you're in this spiritual place of peace and calm, you really notice the contrast.
Mm.
And, and with my older son who's transgender, a lot of worry around him and his mental health and what was happening. And so, yeah, so I went through all these insecurities of, am I doing the right thing? How do I help them through this? But then that would flip flop into, they have their own journey and they have to walk their own path. So the question was, what tools did I go to? And I mean, really, so many. My Shine membership is an acronym, and the S in Shine is shift your thinking. And so to me, that's the starting point. And that's what I always came back to is I need to shift my thinking around this. And so, turning it around to my son, for example, in school that, yeah, and actually I'm going to throw another one in because I layered them.
I'd
Um,
actually love to hear all of them. So I think
yes.
great. I'm making notes as you're talking, so I don't
Okay,
forget.
perfect. Because they were layered. Because I
Yeah,
know, at that point I was in your membership program. And when I had an opportunity to ask a question, the question would be around one of these issues. And so then I would take what was coming through. Because this is the thing about, when we're psychic and we're readers, it's not always easy to read for yourself because there's too much stuff in the way. And so when I would ask for clarity or reading in whatever form I did, that would either reinforce something I was thinking or bring in a new way of looking at it. So that was another level. And journaling about it was another level. Pulling cards just to get me out of my head and get some additional information coming in. And then some really kind of more tangible things, which would involve, in fact, I think this came up in a call with you, was higher self conversations or soul conversations with my kids, where I just got out of that day to day drama and went into meditation and I talked to my son's soul and, and got responses. That was actually really, really enlightening and so peaceful to do that, to have a conversation that way. So, yeah, so really I drew upon all of the different tools that I have and I played with them and experimented with them, and I really leaned into the ones that were really giving me the peace and the calm I needed to get through the situation that I was going through.
that's great. So what does I'm going to go to soul meditation a second. When you did the way that I talk about it is teach it is if you're having difficulty with someone, you step out, you envision the person sitting across from you, then you step out, your soul steps out, and then their soul steps out, and the two souls communicate. Sounds to
Mhm.
me like you either did it that way or you yourself talked to his soul so that you could get information about what his struggles were or whatever was going on. Do you remember what
Oh,
you did?
I think that I did both. So I think there was a part of me that did me talking to it, but then I do recall having our souls come out and have that conversation as well.
Great. I love this. So what does SHINE stand for? I want everybody to know that acronym because I
Oh,
love that.
yeah.
Shift your thinking. And I remember you telling me, but I can't recall it now.
Yeah. So shift your thinking. So that's the first thing is interrupt the thought pattern and get thinking about things in a different way. And of course, I teach how to do that. Honor your journey, which is also about honoring yours and others. So I'll use the example of, when I was doing this with my kids. So, the shifting the thinking was really, this isn't a problem. This isn't an issue. Like there's a reason this is happening, right? So getting into that and then honoring your journey is really about recognizing, and I talk about this a lot in readings and in my coaching sessions, is you have to understand everybody's having their own journey. So we get in our head that things have to be, what has to be perfect. It's my life and it's my kids and, should perfect. Well, what about my son's journey? He has his own journey. And maybe his journey is that he's not supposed to get through school, that he has something else to learn, in order to fill his soul's purpose. And then I is illuminate your brilliance, or ignite your passion. I kind of flip back and forth on that one, but it's really about, again, tapping into that inner light that you have and really allowing it to shine and really bringing yourself to your world and to their world. And it looks different depending on the individual and where they are in their soul's journey. The N in shine is notice from a new perspective. So that's where once you go through those, you kind of step back and you see things from a different perspective. And that's so enlightening because it just allows you to get a really different perspective on it and figure out what that next step is. And then the E is emerge a new version of you, because ultimately it's all about the evolution. So when you do all of that, you become a different person, or you allow a different part of you to emerge. And then you operate from that place, and then you kind of go through it all again, and you just keep growing and emerging, this, I'm going to say, better version of you, but ultimately it is the best version of you that exists inside of you. It's just that you're letting little pieces of it come out at a time, and your life starts to change when that happens.
Love that. I feel like it covers every single aspect of what you go through, and it gives you really concrete, tangible guideposts to work through what you need to work through in order to come to the solution or a new way of being. Do
Yeah.
you do that kind of shine technique in your coaching sessions? Because we've talked about your coaching
Yep.
people, so I'm just curious. You do that.
Yeah, I just started a new coaching client this week, and I always start with the questionnaire, and the questionnaire is the five pieces of shine, and then gauging where they are. So on a scale of 1 to 5, I ask them a very specific question, determine where they are, and then we do that throughout the coaching to check in to see what's moving and what's not, and what we need to focus on and help them with the most.
Great. So if people are interested in your coaching, because I'm looking at your website, I see book a reading. So if they hit book a reading, do you start with booking a reading before you go into coaching, or can people find out about your coaching just by any other way?
Yeah, they don't have to have a reading with me. So there is membership. Do believe I should have my website up looking at it. There should be a portal there for membership. I mean, if not, it's maryannmarriott.com/membership. And so there's some information there. But I mean, honestly, just reaching out to me through email or booking a reading or just a discovery call, we'll have a conversation and see where a person is, and then see what that will mean to them. And then I would go through the whole process with them at that point and explain what it is.
What's your email, Marianne?
It's info@maryannmarriott.com.
Okay, great. I just wanted to capture it because I feel like that type of coaching that you're talking about is very needed. And I feel like you
Yeah.
cover a lot of aspects. I'm not just trying to do a sales pitch for Mary Ann. I'm really very impressed by how she's laid out very tangible guideposts. Like I said, very strong places to land in order to come to a solution. It's not just like, come in, I'm going to fix you. It's like, we're going to, shift thinking, honor the journey, introspective, ignite. It's so beautiful. It's great.
Thank
What
you.
what do you feel like if you were talking to somebody who was getting started in developing their skills and their gifts, what's one of the, and you get this in your membership program, what's one of the biggest struggles people have, and what is your advice to that type of struggle?
Love that. You give this advice, and it's the same advice I give, which is well, two pieces to it. I mean, just trust what's coming through. And, you're not responsible for, you give the information. What the person does with that is up to them. I'm currently working with someone who wants to be an animal communicator. She is an animal communicator. She's doing awesome. She had 5 really great readings and one that wasn't. And she's stuck on the one that wasn't. And so, just have the confidence as much as you need to, which the other piece of that is fake it till you make it. And I did that. I'm just like, I'm just going to go out and I'm going to say stuff and I'm going to be confident, even though my back mind was going, oh, where'd that come from? That can't possibly mean anything. And I just offered everything and let them take what they needed. And what I learned from you as I was learning that about myself was not everything that comes through is going to be for them. There could be messages coming through from some other spirit for someone else. It doesn't mean that you're getting false information and you're not good at what you do.
Good, good. And it's interesting how we focus on the one negative review and don't focus on the 4 good
Yes,
ones.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
difficult
I
one.
I remember probably the reading where that stood out for me the most And someone asked me if I could do mediumship, and I said, I don't know, let's jump on a call and find out. And so we did, and she wanted me to connect to her father. And so I just started describing what was coming through. And then I'm like, oh, I got a guy here, and he's standing here with there's this red car, and it's like not a dinky car, but it's not a full size car. And he's standing beside it. She started laughing. And I said, what? And she said, my father had a red sports car, and he was too big to fit in it, which is exactly the image I was seeing. But in my mind, I was going, this is not going to mean anything to anybody. Like, this is crazy stuff. And so that was a big moment for me, because I was like, you know what, just trust what comes through. It may not make any sense to me, but it'll make sense to someone somewhere.
That's great. Good, good, good. What is something that has been scary to do in your business as you're growing your business? Has there been anything?
Oh my gosh. Well, my retreat maybe it's coming up, because I have a budget and a number of people, and it's a big thing. That's been scary the whole way through. But I use my tools. I've just committed, and I'm like, it doesn't matter how many people show up. If there's 5 or 50, it makes no difference to me. I talked to a girl yesterday. She goes, I'm so excited. I can't wait till June. If she just shows up and we talk, I mean, she won't, because I have half of it sold. But so
That's what I'm
that
saying. You already
terrifies
have over 5, so
so
stop that
that
nonsense.
terrifies me every day up until June 21st. Doing readings for a group that I've never met before. Some of the things I started doing in my business was speed readings, really, like just open it up. Everybody come in. You actually did that in your membership, which terrified me, but I did it anyway. So yeah, I'm terrified every day. Not every day, but most things I do, I put myself out there and try new things, and they are terrifying. But if it doesn't scare you to death, it's not worth it. That's what I always say.
And then and as we both know, Mary Ann's being very sweet because she gets over it. So it's like you get terrified for a
You
minute and then
grow.
you grow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I say terrified, but really I'm nervous, and
Yeah.
but I just do it anyway, and you grow from that. No matter how you grow from that, you grow from that, whether, it's a complete flop, which it almost never is, or, you learn something about yourself in the process.
Yeah. It's so important that people do that because so many people wait until they feel secure before they do something.
Mm,
And it doesn't happen. And I remember the moment that I was going into a Curves gym, they hired me to come do platform readings. I've never did platform readings. I was so new to everything. And I just said yes. Everything in me was just saying yes. And I remember
mm,
getting out of my car, heading to it, going, like, I had a conscious moment, like, what are you doing? You've never done this before. What are you doing? And then I just went in and I did it, and it got me a lot of clients. So it's like, I know what you're talking about. It's the same thing. And I'm so glad that you said it because I think a lot of readers are afraid to admit it,
yeah.
that we do get scared, that we do get terrified with new things, but we just continue to do it.
Yeah.
Don't you feel
Absolutely.
that? Because like they're hiding something or they're trying to be, what do you think it is, Mary Ann? I'm curious.
Oh,
I know
I mean,
I'm
yeah,
more
I think
visual.
really it's the insecurity. I mean, it's people are afraid of being judged, and they're afraid of being wrong, which is afraid of being judged. And so won't put yourself out there because of something that someone might think about you. There's a lot of people out there. In fact, one of the sayings that stuck to me, it's none of your business what other people think about you. It's what you
Mhm.
think about yourself. So, just show up, do your best, and and celebrate what you've done at the end of the day.
So most of the people in your program, are they working to be readers? Do they want to be readers as well? What type of people are in your program?
Very varied. And so some do want to be readers. I would say right now, most of them really just want to fix their lives and be better versions of themselves. I mean, those that have been with me the longest, that's what I've really seen with them, is really just transforming the way they think about everything that's happening in their life, showing up differently, being happier. But yeah, definitely have others that want to learn to read more. So one of the things that I do, which I learned from you. I learned so much from you. Is the practice reading sessions, just bringing people together and letting them read for each other. And, even some of the people that never wanted to be readers, they're learning to read for themselves.
Yeah.
And, to me, that's golden. You don't want other people reading for you. You want to be able to read for yourself. Occasionally, maybe get some readings. I love how we just put ourselves out of business here. Um, but we don't. You get some introspection from other people, but ultimately all the wisdom is inside of you, and you can tap into that and use that to help guide your life. So I think that's really, most people are there to help figure out how to navigate life and be the person that they know they want to be, always were, and have been ignoring.
What are you excited about in your business right now, what you're growing, what's really exciting you? I'm curious.
Yeah. Two things. The retreat, definitely, like I know that I'll be doing that again. I love doing
You
in-person
will be.
stuff and groups, and I'm so excited. And I have guest speakers coming in. I'm just so super excited about everything we're doing there. And the coaching. I really, really am loving the coaching. I've only had 4 or 5 coaching clients, but all of them except for one have stayed. Like I'm on a second term or a third term because they're seeing such great results. Like that just makes me so happy. One gal was divorced and she was miserable and in guilt and just stuck in that. And I'm just watching her, like her whole persona has just been changing completely. She's, traveling and she's dating and she's just more peaceful and calm. Like I just couldn't be more thrilled. It's like watching your own children grow up and, be who they're meant to be. So the coaching is really exciting me, and being in person with people again is really exciting me.
Yeah, I can see you being an absolutely incredible coach. I really can. So I
Mm,
think that
thank
that's amazing. Yeah. Just because I've known Mary Ann for a while, and just the way you present yourself on calls with people, and there's no ego. It's just really very grounded advice and information. It's really good. Um, what is one thing that you would tell people who are hesitating to take action in their life?
you. Oh my
Mary
goodness.
Ann, by the way, guys, and you know this, I've said this before, they have no idea what I'm going to ask them.
No, we don't.
I know. I
Um,
do this on purpose.
oh, life is too short to waste it um struggling or staying stuck. And I think the most important thing you can invest in your life is you. And so if you are in a place where you're stuck and you just don't really know what to do, or you can't seem to get out of it, find the people, find the resources, find the community, find the mentors, and just say yes. And I mean, this is where my life changed dramatically, is when I started saying yes. And I started out on this journey listening to free calls and groups, and I did that for years, where I met you in one of them. And then I started investing in the people that resonated with me in these groups. And that really was the moment where my life really started to shift in a big way. And so you're not supposed to know everything. You're not supposed to figure it all out. I mean, great if we could, but we don't. There's other people who have the expertise we need to navigate that. So just say yes and grab onto that person that resonates with you, that you feel is what you need right now, and then just follow that. Like there's just a whole world that you can be open to.
And you're that person for other people, because I think, well, I have a question, but let me hold off. I try to watch because you're a teacher that I think is really important, that people gravitate to your work because you allow people to shine in your program. And we see too many teachers, not all teachers, but we see too many teachers that want to be the only light in the room, and they don't allow their students or their, community to shine. And that's
Hmm.
really important. And you know what I'm talking about, right, Mary Ann?
Totally. I can't even fathom not wanting the people I'm working with to shine. I mean, that's what it's all about. And in honesty, I mean, you do that in your programs as well. It's one of the reasons I'm still here, is that, it's just it's such a supportive community. And I mean, it speaks my language.
Yeah.
It's just so completely in alignment with who I am.
Well, I love working with people like you because I always feel like it's a domino effect. Like I touch you on the back and then you touch 1,000, and I'm like, oh wow, I just touched one person. She touched the street.
I love that.
Let me ask you another question. What would have happened had you not answered this calling?
I don't think I ever would have been truly happy with who I was. I think I would have went through life always feeling like there was something missing and something I was supposed to be doing that I wasn't. And, possibly just get into that spiral of, I think at some point, if you don't take action and you have that, that nudge or that calling or, urge to do something more, be something more, is you end up being kind of miserable, not even really complacent, because you can't really deny that. And I think that's where people get stuck. And I think that's where I would have got stuck.
What is one of the most favorite things in your business, besides coaching and everything, like a tool that you're playing with, or a meditation or a ritual that you have that you absolutely love and it makes your heart beat?
Oh, goodness. Okay. In my business
In your
or
business, in
just
your
in
life,
general?
it even matter,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, there's so many different things that I do. One of the things that's coming to mind, it just seems so simple, is just being in silence. And I'm going to raise my hand and say, I don't feel like I do a great job of that. So I'm going to be authentic. I don't meditate as much. I don't go into that deepness as much as I want to. Um, but just those moments where when I'm working with someone or I'm on my own and I do a meditation and I just start talking and you just go into that really deep state of bliss and just beingness, that's probably my favorite thing. And whether I'm doing it with someone else or myself, or someone's guiding me through it, it's probably one of my favorite moments in my life.
I love that, and I have a question about that. And I also think we don't always have to do it the way we think we're supposed to do it. Don't you agree?
Yes, I think people get stuck thinking they have to meditate a certain way
Mhm.
when literally closing your eyes and breathing for, 10 seconds can be a form of meditation.
Which was gonna be my follow-up question to you. So when can you recall, like, those moments where you have that experience? Like, mine is just, like, walking in with the dog and walking in the woods
Mm.
and nature, and it's like all of a sudden you feel it. What are some moments for you that you're like, you feel really connected? Because I think you're talking about connection, if I'm correct.
Yeah, yeah, and I love that you asked it that way because now you're again, thank you. You're getting me to see it
Mm.
from a different perspective. Because that can be literally sitting on the front deck with a cup of tea and the sun's coming up and it's starting to get warm and just it's that moment. Or we have a piece of land that we go to where it's just very secluded, and it can just simply be yeah, going for a walk and just being in awe of the nature around you and just in that peace and just everything goes away and it's just you and your breath and whatever moment you're in. And I can think of that in a moment with my son or a moment with my husband, or
Yes.
don't even get me on petting and loving the kitty cats because that's my ignite your passion part. Boy, oh boy, you cannot be sad when you do that. So
Unless you have my cats. No, I'm kidding. That's great.
yeah.
Okay, so we're going to start wrapping up. I want to you're on social media, and I know you also have a free Facebook group. Is that correct?
I do. So I have a private Facebook group. So if anyone connects with me, they will get the link and they can come in. It is private because I want to keep it safe, and it's a place where we do play and we do readings and we can be a little bit vulnerable. So that's my Facebook group, and the that is also on my website. Um, and I do have a public page on Facebook. So I'm literally, if you put Mary Ann Marriott, your spiritual hostess in Facebook, you'll see those. And I have an Instagram account as well.
Great. I love that. Marianne, is there any piece of advice you'd like to give someone who's listening right now and they're at a crossroads in their life where their kids are going off to school, or maybe they just left a marriage, or they're having some life-changing experience? What would be a piece of advice that you would like to offer them right now in this
Mm.
podcast?
So I'm going to use one of my tools right now just before I answer that. And I'm going to close my eyes and I'm just going to take a breath. The light inside of you was meant to shine, and you may have dimmed that for a period of time, and you probably feel it in your you want it to come out, but you're not really sure how to let it come out. In fact, you're probably afraid because of that fear of being judged. So what I want you to know is that you are supported, and it's your birthright to shine that light. And not shining it is really doing a disservice, not to yourself, just to yourself, but to the world. And so find every way that you can bring that light out, shine it more brightly, be the amazing being that you can be, and do it fearlessly and unapologetically because it's who you are and it's meant to be shown to the world.
I love that. So now I'm going to put you on the spot a second because that was beautiful. 1222 came through before. I don't need you to read the numbers. I just want you to
Mhm.
feel into the energy, or however you want to
Mm.
do it. Is there anything for everybody who's listening, me included? And I don't let anybody read me. But I trust Mary Ann. anything that spirit wants to say about that number as to why that number came through on this particular podcast whenever anybody's listening to this.
Oh, interesting. So right away when I see the numbers, first of all, I go right to my heart. I just get this amazing energy coming through, and immediately I'm drawn to the three twos. And twos to me, and I know to you and many others, are all about, partnerships and collaboration and cooperation. But one is about new beginnings, and I think this just fits in perfectly with what we're talking about, because one is taking that first step and that new beginning, and just um, being more of who you are. So wherever you are in the journey, that's going to mean something different to everyone. And then when the three twos come up, it's a six, and six is to me our hearts and home and family. And this is what we're talking about, is just allowing that love, allowing that magnificent part of who you are to shine in the world. So that's that's what comes through with me when I think of those numbers.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Absolutely
You're
beautiful. Both
welcome.
messages, absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Mary Ann. This was amazing. So everybody who's listening, do check out Mary Ann's website. We do recommend her as a reader. We recommend her as a coach. We recommend her membership program. I'm very picky about who I recommend. I've gotten to know the people that you've heard me recommend are people that are in my program, Next Level Living. But the main reason is because I've gotten to know them and I've gotten to see how they carry themselves. And I know that they're very good at what they do. So go to maryannmarriott.com. Her website will be in the show notes, but it's MARYANN MARRIOTT.com. It's basically how it sounds. And go check out her stuff and book a reading, or go join her membership. And one of the things, being with a light-minded community, it can serve you so well. Or email her at, was it info at Mary Ann Marriott?
Yep.
Info at maryannmarriott.com, and send her an email and just ask her, maybe tell her what you're looking to do and see what she makes a suggestion. She's not somebody who's going to take advantage of you. She's going to say, you know what, I think this is great for you, or that's great for you. So she will tell you what you need. And for all of you who are listening, thank you so much. Remember to rate, review, subscribe, and share this podcast. I'd like to share all these amazing people with the world. And as always, who can it be now? It's you. It is always you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mary Ann.
Thank you.